Ladies and gentlemen, we have some very exciting news today. Very exciting news indeed. So today, May 21st, Universal Studios met with the Orange County Economic Recovery Task Force, the team that is leading the charge in trying to reopen the Orlando economy. They met with them and they submitted their plans today for when they wanted to reopen their parks and what exactly they were going to do to help protect the guests and help protect the general public from having another resurgence in the COVID-19 virus. And guys, today we have a very close to concrete opening date for Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and Volcano Bay. We have a lot to talk about here today. I'm super excited. I hope you are too. Let's get started. So Universal Studios has been closed since March 15th. That is quite a while. Almost 2.5 months has Universal Studios been closed, and only last week did we see the reopening of City Walk, which was pretty much the first major theme park reopening that we've seen since this whole virus situation started. And today Universal Studios met with the task force of Orange County, where they presented, where they had an entire PowerPoint presentation of what their plans were, what they wanted to do, and how they were going to keep people safe. Now, I'm going to be putting some pictures up on screen as we're talking about exactly what Universal Studios proposed to the task force, and I apologize for the crudity of these images. They were screen caps of the presentation taken by Orlando Informer, so shout out to them for actually watching the presentation and taking screenshots of everything. But we have a lot to digest here. Now, first and foremost, keep in mind that these dates are not set in stone. They are as close to set in stone as you can get, but they are not set in stone quite yet. Universal hasn't gotten the approval of everyone that they need to. They got the approval of the task force. However, all these plans need to then be submitted to the Orlando City Mayor and the Orange County Mayor, and then after all that is approved, it needs to go to the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. So we still have a couple of more hurdles to go, but from everything that was said today, Universal got the okay from the reopening task force to move ahead. So this is very huge news indeed. So the proposed reopening date that we have for the general public is June 5th. That's pretty crazy. That is a lot sooner than I think anyone was expecting. June 5th is when Universal Studios wants to reopen to the public. Now, we don't exactly have any word yet on what the capacity is going to be. I think that is yet to be determined and will be disclosed at a later date. Exactly what kind of capacity they're looking at, whether it be 50% capacity, 25%, or 75% capacity. I highly doubt it is going to be a full capacity. I seriously doubt that. But not only do they intend on reopening to the general public on June 5th, but on June 1st, it looks like Universal wants to reopen the parks to its team members, and rightfully so. They've been furloughed for quite a while. I think it's only fair that they're the first ones to reopen the park, get to experience it, and they're almost like the test dummies for these new social distancing measures. Now, like I've said on the channel in the past, this is only a test, and these are team members, and these people are passionate about what they do. They're the ones who are going to be working inside the park. They're the ones who are going to have to enforce these rules and carry out these social distance tests that Universal Studios is wanting to do. These are people who are going to listen. So any photos or pictures that you see from inside Universal Studios on those first opening days, June 1st and possibly June 2nd, it should be taken with a grain of salt, because the general public is not likely going to behave the same way as these team members. Now, it does look like Universal Studios is also planning on possibly doing a bit of a annual pass holder preview and maybe a media event on, June 3rd and 4th. So select media guests are invited, and it looks like they're going to be opening up attendance to a pool of annual pass holders. Probably what they're going to be doing is sending out an email letting people know that they can sign up for this event at this time, and then once that time comes, people can go online and register, and it's probably first come first serve. I really hope it's not first come first serve. I hope it's more of like a lottery system. I think that's a bit more fair, because Universal Studios does not have a good track record with with annual pass holder events and things and exclusive events, they don't have a good track record of that. So I really hope it's more of a lottery system that just gives everyone more of a fair shot of getting to possibly go inside the park before it opens to the general public. And again, when this annual pass holder event happens, we'll see if we can go, if we'll go. I mean, it all depends on the capacity. You know, I don't want to go into Universal Studios or anything park for that matter if it's going to be crazy full, but if there's going to be significant lower capacity for this event, then we'll take our shot in it and we'll see if we can possibly go. So we're going to go through some of these slides that Universal Studios submitted to the reopening committee, and we're not going to go into them with too much detail again because the images are so crude and it's just basically a screen cap, but we can basically get a feel for what Universal was talking about during this presentation. So one thing that I really want to talk about here is the proposed team member journey that Universal put out to this committee. For team members, it's all about keeping them safe as well as guests safe, but in order to keep the guests safe, you have to keep the team members safe, so on and so forth. So starting at home, self-temperature checks, make sure that team members are regulating their own temperature at home and checking their temperature at home. Staggered parking for team members in their own garages. Temperature checks for team members upon arrival at their own parking garage. More training for team members upon arrival and before starting work with guests as to how these new procedures are going to work and what is expected of them. Guest interactions, message points, and app adoption goals to help guests with contactless experience. Basically helping guests to utilize the Universal Studios app a lot more instead of having to have physical interactions using the app to answer most of the questions that guests may have. This is just some of the procedures that Universal has in place for their team members, which is very interesting indeed. So this next slide has a lot of information on it, and I'm sorry that I can't exactly zoom into it. It's very pixelated, but you can kind of get a feel for what it's talking about. It goes through these different categories and what is going to be involved as far as screening, sanitation, and spacing is concerned, starting from transportation, parking, and valet, security, city walk and front entry, attractions and entertainment, dining and merchandise, team members, and Volcano Bay of all things. It's very interesting. It looks like Volcano Bay is also going to be reopening on June 5th as well. Let's go ahead and talk about Volcano Bay for a little bit because this is what I found the most interesting, and I was honestly very surprised to see Volcano Bay reopening so soon. The CDC has stated that well-maintained pools using chlorine and bromine are known to inactivate the virus COVID-19. Ride vehicles, rafts, and life vest cleaning will be placed in water for additional cleaning as needed. So they have some special solution. They're going to dip the life vest and I guess the rafts in this special solution for additional cleaning. The number of tubes in the lazy river and life vests in Action River will be reduced. Reduced number of guests per raft slide to party size only, so no grouping of unfamiliar parties. Lounge chairs placed in clusters to support travel party seating and separate 6 feet apart. So you're going to have clusters of chairs and then chairs that are 6 feet apart. So just kind of keep your own party together. Let's go over to attractions and entertainment. They're going to close interactive play areas. So Fivel's Playland, RIP, that's gonna be closed for the time being. They're going to be handing out 3D glasses individually. So for most of their, if not all of their 3D attractions, instead of you grabbing glasses out of a bin where everyone else is touched, team members are going to be wearing gloves and they're going to be handing you out your glasses individually. They're going to reduce or eliminate water/mist effects. So if you're on the Incredible Hulk and you go down that tunnel after the main vertical loop, you're going to be, instead of going through that mist tunnel, it's just going to be a tunnel like that nonetheless. I don't think water rides at Universal Studios are going to be a thing for a little while because water mist elements. So I don't know if that includes water rides in general. I don't know if they're going to be treating the water on those rides with a special chemical. We don't know yet. Implement virtual line at highly attended attractions. So we could possibly finally be seeing a virtual queue system for Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. That was supposed to be implemented on day 1 of the attraction's opening, but that didn't happen. We could be seeing virtual lines for attractions such as the Hulk, Dudley Do Right, Hollywood River Ride Rocket, the Mummy, all the major attractions, the big e-ticket attractions. We could possibly be seeing virtual queues for that to be utilized through the Universal Studios app. Space travel parties as appropriate. Eliminate single rider lines, so no shorter single rider lines, unfortunately. Eliminate post-show meet and greets. Performers will remain on stage for pictures. No parades to run. Individual float interactions to have performers that remain on their floats. So the Superstar Parade that I think they have at Universal Studios, every once in a while they bring out a couple of floats to go around, and they stop and they do little performances. I'm sure that may still be a thing, but no guest interactions, and all the performers will stay on the floats. For dining and merchandise, face coverings will be offered for sale. Menus will be converted to single use. Individually packaged condiments, pre-wrapped silverware. No buffets or self-serve options at restaurants, which is very important. That's very good that they're doing that. Utilize mobile food ordering to enable direct table seating and food delivery. Contactless payments offered with Apple Pay and Google Wallet and mobile wallet in app. So very interesting indeed. We're just glossing over this page, but there is a lot of information, and I'm sure once they put out a higher res version of this image, I'll be sharing some of that on Twitter as well. So if you're not following me on Twitter, definitely give me a follow, link down in the description below. The next couple slides that we see are just examples of signage that Universal Studios already has out in City Walk as far as what is expected of guests, whether it be wearing a face mask, temperature checks, social distancing. We also have a closer look at the social distancing markers that we see at City Walk and in other store locations and restaurant locations, where it says please stand here with the blue slash lines. The next slide that we have is a little pamphlet that is going to be handed out to guests individually when the park reopens. Basically they're going to be upon request, actually, just giving guests a bit more information as what is expected of them once they're inside the park and not in City Walk. And here we have a closer look at what Universal Studios plans to do for their attraction queues. So when you're walking through a line, they're going to have their line spacing throughout the queue. And basically the way it's designed is so that guests are pretty much staggered 6 feet apart. And that way they're not exactly standing right next to each other. So if you have a queue line going this way, a queue line going this way, the guests aren't exactly 6 feet or standing right next to each other. They're going to be kind of distanced from themselves, so they're not exactly in line with each other, which I think is really, really smart. And this is just a quick visual of what is expected and what they want to do and what they plan on not doing. So yeah, guys, that about covers it for what we can expect for when Universal Studios reopens. Again, please take this reopening date with a grain of salt. It still hasn't been approved yet by all the higher ups. It still needs to go to the Orlando City Mayor, Orange County Mayor, and then of course to Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, for approval. Once we get that approval, we could possibly see Universal Studios reopening on June 5th to the general public. Very excited. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments section below. With all these safety measures in place, what do you guys think? Will you be planning on going to Universal Studios on opening day? Let me know if you guys think that this is too soon. If it's too soon, then what do you think would be the best reopening date for Universal Studios and other Orlando attractions? We should be expecting an announcement from Disney very, very soon. They're expected to meet with the reopening committee very soon. So yeah, we'll keep it tuned, and we will definitely let you know if anything happens with these other theme parks in the Orlando area. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new around here. Drop a comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Ring that bell. Get notified whenever I upload a new video like this in the future. I hope you are all having a wonderful day, morning, afternoon, and evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video.